Now before this video begins, I just want to say that this video is in no way against CheezeWafflz as an individual, but rather a critique of his content. With that in mind, let's get into this. CheezeWafflz mapping is a massive mapper compared to me and a lot of my friends actually. He has over 16,000 subscribers and a total of 2,700,000 views, totaling my, Dutch's, and Moldovan's views combined. He's also pretty influential as he has a pretty high quote-unquote rank in the mapping community. But does he deserve it? You see many mappers that are being criticized today are mappers who have bad storylines and bad visuals. And he has both of them. For now, we'll look into his quote-unquote story. Why quote-unquote? Because he has no story. His mapping videos heavily rely on wars, rebellions, and diplomatic annexations. He literally has a war in the 2012th second in. Oh, and diplomatic annexation in the 15th second. When your story relies on wars and X nations saying, hey, join me, that's bad story writing. But you might think, he did it a long time ago. He definitely has improved. Too bad what I'm talking about is his latest video on his YouTube channel, which was made 3 weeks ago. In that video, there aren't just wars, because there are over 2 rebellions. You might say, it's not that much. But when you realize that in a normal mapping video, there are either 0 or 1 rebellions per series. The other thing he fails to understand is that there needs to be at least some sort of justification for a war. In his video, India annexes multiple nations and declares war on Bangladesh. Why? Because it wants to show dominance in the region. The problem with that, however, it is not a valid justification. Even if it would be, there would be no human civilization as we know it. And I know that without wars, mapping would be mostly boring, but it doesn't mean the episode should rely solely on wars, nor the story has to be about wars. Which is a thing that Cheese does not understand. And it's not like it's 1939 or the Cold War. You know, where you could declare war and your nation wouldn't be flooded with sanctions. At least if you weren't in Europe. But it's literally in the present, so why nobody gives one about Iran declaring war on Afghanistan and Spain getting absolutely raped by rebels. Oh yeah, and he thinks that untrained militias can defeat a well-trained army, while neither NATO or the EU intervene whatsoever. So yeah, that's good. So we talked about his story. His story. But what about his visuals? Well, if you've seen any of Japanese videos, you pretty much saw all of Cheese's videos, but I will get into that later. However, what I will talk about are his horrendously mediocre visuals. I want you, intelligent viewer, to think of every mapper in the year 2017, and that's pretty much Cheese. Both his map and controls look strangely familiar to the ones of Japanese. Even his controls are generic, you know, circle tool and then grid warp, nothing special there. His eyes are the same story, normal controllable eyes and add some shading to the top of the eyes. It's very simple, yet it can make people believe you actually put work and effort in it. His maps are again pretty much the same as Japanese's maps. If you've seen the maps of him, you have seen Cheese's maps. Simple as that. But you might ask, why do his maps look so familiar to the ones of Japanese? Well, let me show you. Hey, wanna know a YouTuber that's pretty much the exact same as Japanese? Oh wait, I'm doing a video on him. Never mind. Well, yeah, I don't think I'm saying anything new with Cheese pretty much being an even worse mapper than Jap, and Cheese just pretty much copying him. Before you say anything, just go to both of their channels and click on a mapping video of theirs. It won't be that hard to notice something suspicious. One thing I want to say before I get into the conclusion part, this is not a mini critique of Japanese, even though I think he can really improve his quality, but I don't think it's that apparent in Japanese's videos as they are in Cheeze's ones. But yeah, I just wanted to point out the obvious here. Anyways, time for the conclusion. All in all, I think that Cheese is a pretty overrated mapper. He has basically no story at all, and his visuals look mediocre. Both his maps and controls look just like Japanese's ones, but even worse. But I guess Cheese is a man without a mapping plan.